How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now, it has been some time since the launch of the new Ryzen 2000 series CPUs, and along with that also the 400 series range of motherboards that accompanies the new Ryzen 2000 series. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a review sample of the 2700X, but I was luckily now able to get one from RebelTech, which they graciously sent over. But along with that, I am going to need a new motherboard to test all of the features of the new Ryzen 2000 series CPUs. And now that is where Gigabyte came in, and they sent over the AORUS X470 Gaming 5 Wi-Fi edition motherboard that I am going to do all my reviews on with the 2700X, and then also I'm going to do a quick review on this motherboard as well. So with all of that being said, let's jump into today's review right after this. Do you live in South Africa and want to get the best deals on all the latest gaming products? Well, RebelTech is the best place to check out. They have a huge variety of peripherals, PC components, laptops, and just everything else you would need. So go check out rebeltech.co.za to get the products you are looking for at a low price. So starting off, the Gaming 5 is not the only AORUS motherboard you get for the newer Ryzen 2000 series CPUs. You do also get the AORUS Gaming Ultra, which is a bit a cheaper version, and then you do also get the big boy, which is the Gaming 7, and it just has a bit more RGB goodness, and then it has higher quality components for higher overclocking. But for just the standard user, the Gaming Ultra or the Gaming 5 is plenty good enough. Of course, you can still use the second generation Ryzen CPUs on the 300 series motherboards with a BIOS update, but you won't get any of the new features that comes alongside the new 400 series motherboards and the Ryzen 2000 series CPUs, like extended frequency range 2 and then precision boost 2 as well. The precision boost 2, it's kind of like turbo boost for Intel, where it boosts your CPU's frequency higher than the base clock. And then for XFR2, that one will take a look at the cooling of your CPU to see how much it can actually boost your CPU higher to get better performance. But now taking a quick look at what you get inside the box along with the Gaming 5 board, you get 4 SATA cables, an RGB-W cable, a thermal meter cable, the dual band external antenna, the I/O shield, the front panel combo connector, an extra M.2 screws, the AORUS badge, and then you just get all of the manuals and drivers and all of that. The entire design of the Gaming 5 is on that black PCB board with that cool armor-like black, silver, and orange style heatsinks. Something I didn't really notice straight away was that a lighter AORUS eagle over the PCI Express ports, which did look quite cool. Taking a look at the back of the board, you unfortunately don't get any M.2 extra ports, but you do get the back support for the CPU mounting. Now then, as you guys can imagine, because it's 2018, of course there has to be some good RGB goodness. With the AORUS Gaming 5 supports Gigabyte Fusion. It has support for either 5V or 12V LED strips that can go up to 300 LEDs per strip. You do also get the RGB header for your CPU, and then the RGB-W with the digital LED header next to it, which allows for more control over each LED on an LED strip. Now, one of the differences between the Gaming 5 and the Gaming 7 AORUS boards is that the Gaming 5 does not have any RGB lit memory DIMM slots, whereas the Gaming 7 does have that. But luckily you do get the PCI Express ports that are RGB lit, which just adds some of that extra glow you would want. Now, as for the CPU socket, it still supports the AM4 platform, which will be supported up till 2020, which is a really nice addition that AMD added, so you can use all of the different boards and all of the Ryzen CPUs up till 2020 on the same boards. Now, you do get the basic mounting bracket for all of your air coolers that you get either with the Ryzen CPUs or a third-party air coolers that you can mount to that, but you can remove it if you want to add any other air coolers or any IIOs to connect to the CPU. And as for the VRMs, they are passively cooled by that armor heat spreader, which does look cool with, again, with the black, silver and orange style. Then you get the MOSFETs, you get the 8+3 chokes, and then 9 capacitors to help with some higher end overclocking. And then for power, you get your 24 pin for the motherboard and your 8 pin for the CPU. As for memory, you get a dual channel memory that supports a max of 64 gig of DDR4 memory that can go up to 3200 megahertz. They are stainless steel enforced DIMMs, which Gigabyte says handles force up to 4.8 times more than those without. This does help prevent the board from bending as easily if you would force in your memory modules, and sometimes you of course do force it a bit too hard and that could bend the board, so this is a nice addition. And taking a look at the PCI Express ports, you get 2 PCI Express 3.0 full slots, but one is running at 16 times and the other one is running at 8 times, which does allow for two-way SLI and crossfire, so both won't be running at 16 times. Then you do also get one PCI Express 2.0 full slot that is running at a 4 times speed. Now this third PCI Express slot gets turned off when using the second M.2 slot. It does share PCI Express lanes, so keep that in mind when you do run an additional card in that third PCI Express slot and then an M.2 in the second M.2 slot. And then of course you do get the 2 PCI Express 2.0 one-time slots that you can add in a Wi-Fi card or anything else like that. But the 2 main PCI Express 3.0 16-time slots are also stainless steel enforced, which Gigabyte again says handles force up to 1.7 times than without, which is just always a nice handy feature if you do kind of force your GPUs in. Now then, as for M.2 storage, you get 2 M.2 slots for either a SATA or NVMe SSDs, with the top one having a nice heat spreader that will just help cool down your M.2s. Both these M.2 slots support types of 2242, 2260 and 2280, but only the top one supports the very long 22110 type M.2 SSDs, so just keep that in mind. And then alongside the M.2s, you do also get 6 SATA ports for all of your storage needs. And then for some additional ports, you do get the USB Type-C port. You get the post LEDs that let you know which of the components is giving you problems and preventing a post. You get 8 hybrid fan headers supporting up to 25 watts high current fans, with 2 doubling as water pump connectors. And then for temperatures, you get a few internal sensors that will read the temperatures of your board and all of your components. And then you get an external temperature sensor header that you can connect that included thermal meter cable that you can just measure any of your case temps. And moving to the side for I/O, you get 4 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, 1 USB Type-C port with USB 3.1 Gen 2 support, 1 USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-A port, which is that red one, and then 4 USB 2.0 ports. And then also you get your dual band antenna connectors for the included antenna, and then a Gigabit Ethernet port. And then for audio, you get an ALC 1220 headphone amp that helps prevent any issues such as a low volume or distortion. You also get a 1 optical SPDIF out connector, 5 audio jacks for surround sound, and then a nice extra feature is that the 2 yellow USBs doubles as a DAC up 2 voltage regulator, which compensates for voltage drop for if you use long cables, either for VR or just if for your very long cables for your headsets. So that will prevent any volume drop or anything that would hinder your audio experience. And then finally you get the HDMI 2.0 port. Now keep in mind that the 2700X and some of the other Ryzen CPUs does not have any built-in GPUs, so you won't be able to actually use that HDMI ports. They're more meant for the APUs like the 2400G and 2200G. And then for wireless connectivity, it does again support a dual band Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, and also Bluetooth version 5. Now taking a look at the BIOS of the X470 Gaming 5 AORUS board. First tab is you get your advanced frequency settings where you can overclock your CPU if you wanted to. Next up is your advanced memory setting where you can change your memory's frequency and overclock it there. Next up is your voltage settings where you can add more volts to your CPU to get better overclocks. Next up is your PC health, where it just shows some more information about all the voltages and all of that. Then you get your miscellaneous settings, it's just 2 extra settings if you want to take a look at that. Next up is Smart Fan 5 settings, where you can control all of your fans. So for instance, your CPU, system fans, your pump, where you can adjust the speeds. You can put to full speed, or you can create your own profile as well, to make sure that it doesn't overheat or anything. You do have some temperature warnings here as well that you can go set. Next up is just your system tab, where you have some system information, your BIOS version and all of that. Next up is BIOS settings, where you can choose your boot options and just all of the other settings you would want to access to. Next up is your peripherals, where you can adjust your RGB fusion, turn that on, and then just all of the other settings as well. Next up is the chipset tab. After that, you get the power tab, where you can adjust some power settings if you wanted to, and then the save and exit tab, where you can just save all of your profiles. If you want to load a new BIOS, updated BIOS, you can do it through here as well. So that's pretty much it. Now then, as for overclocking, I was able to overclock my 2700X to 4.2 GHz at 1.45 volts using a Corsair H100i V2. I was also able to overclock the 2700X to 4.1 GHz at 1.35 volts by using the standard included AMD Wraith Prism cooler. Now when I overclocked the 2700X to that 4.1 GHz at 1.35 volts, the Vrms did go up to 80 degrees, but didn't go over than that with a 30-minute IDA60 for stress test. So unfortunately, I did not do it at that 4.2 GHz at 1.45 volts using the Corsair H100i cooler, but it would probably have shot up to about 90 or so degrees. Now unfortunately, I was not able to overclock my 2700X higher than that 4.2 GHz at 1.45 volts. It just started crashing. Even when I upped the voltage and all of that, it didn't want to go higher. I did see that some other overclockers were able to get theirs to 4.4 GHz with higher voltages, but unfortunately I was not able to get mine there. So it's either the 2700X that was limiting there, or was the AORUS X470 Gaming 5. I didn't want to go higher than that, but it is good enough for a 24/7 overclock. If you wanted to go higher than that, you would most likely go for the AORUS Gaming 7 board. That one would be able to get you higher clock speeds. So that's pretty much it for my review of the AORUS X470 Gaming 5 motherboard. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment like always. Also, a massive thank you to Gigabyte for sending over the AORUS X470 for this review, and also for all of my future reviews regarding the 2700X. Without them, this wouldn't be possible, and like all of my future reviews wouldn't be possible with the new Ryzen 2000 series CPU. So a massive thank you to them. Now, if you guys want to get the AORUS X470 Gaming 5 Wi-Fi Edition motherboard, you can check out the links in the video description, where you can get it on RebelTech if you live in South Africa, or Amazon if you live overseas. So that's pretty much it for my review. Again, I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will check all of you guys next time. Cheers, guys.